Despite the rise of digital first and digital only banking tools, people still want reassurance that someone is there to help when they need it. People still want to connect with people because people trust people. That's why it's worth examining the mix and blend between digital and human connections and interfaces. So, how does the presence or absence of human connection influence trust for your financial brand? Let's find out together on today's episode of the Banking on Digital Growth podcast.
You're listening to the Banking on Digital Growth podcast.
Welcome to the Banking on Digital Growth podcast. I'm Audrey Kanata, operations lead here at the Digital Growth Institute. And joining us for today's conversation is James Robert Lay, founder and CEO.
Hey, Audrey.
Hello, James Robert.
It is good to be back in the studio. I was just asking you before we hit record. Did we cut any episodes last week? And you're like, no. And we've had a lot of changes since the
We
last time
have.
that we
Yes.
hit record. Even though it's been a week.
Definitely.
We've changed things up here in the studio.
Yep.
I know that you're going through some changes as well, which we're going to
Yep.
be talking about on an episode that we will be recording here very shortly. We've seen a lot of changes too with some of the financial brands that we've been working with. We've been guiding based upon the feedback that we've been sharing with them, particularly through website secret shopping studies. So changes in the air.
Changes in the air. Yes. And I am really, I've learned a lot about just embracing change in the last couple of years. My quick start, my resistant quick start in me, my Colby is definitely a little bit more resistant to change, but I'm definitely getting a little bit more comfortable being uncomfortable.
Changes in the air, and it's not even fall. It's right here in the peak of the summer season. It's July 25th of 2024. Wow. But I think what we're going to be talking about today is going to be a timeless subject. So even though we've put a time stamp on that, I did that intentionally so that a year from now, maybe 2 years, maybe even 3 years from now, when we reflect back on this conversation and share this conversation to help others, we have a mental marker of reflection point to see what has changed or what has not changed since this conversation, because there is another shift that is happening that we're seeing, particularly when we look back to when we all got forced to go digital.
That's true.
Back in early 2020 because of the pandemic.
Yeah, and we'll get into that, some of those changes today. Earlier this week, we facilitated and delivered the results of a website secret shopping study, and we really focused in on that human connection versus the digital connection. And like you said, 4 years ago, it went all digital really fast. And now, one of the things you mentioned is you're starting to see the pendulum swinging now in the opposite direction.
Yes. And we have to, once again, context is important. We have to remember what has happened since early 2020 when we were all forced to go digital first. If we look back between 2019 and 2020, Zoom specifically saw a 24x increase of usage. Not 10x that I typically talk about, but 24x. It almost doubling. And that shifted human behavior. Then November 30th, 2022, we saw another exponential change enter into the scene with the launch of Chat GPT, the age of AI, if you will. And now here we are about 18 months since the launch of Chat GPT, which, by the way, saw another exponential increase of adoption to where it was the fastest technology platform, or was a technology platform that realized the fastest level of growth going from 0 to 100 million users in just 2 months. But I
That's
have a
incredible.
prediction and I have a hypothesis that the pendulum is starting to shift in the opposite direction, specifically when it comes to the way that people shop, the way that people buy financial services in a digital world. And it doesn't mean that digital is going away. It's just
Right.
there's another shift on the horizon. There's another change, another transformation on the horizon that has always been in my, I would say, my gut, because I have watched and I have observed patterns of human behavior at this point for 21, 22 years as a digital anthropologist through the context of marketing, sales, technology, and human behavior. And the biggest variability out of all three of those, the one that really, the one of the four that drives everything, it is human behavior. Now, technology, you can say, influences human behavior, but I think human behavior also influences technology and vice versa, which then would influence marketing and sales strategies. This became abundantly clear, though, with the secret shopping study that you're mentioning here that we delivered to I think they were about a $15 billion community bank. Um,
Yeah.
Great work, doing great work, great things.
Mhm.
Looking,
Absolutely.
and that's why I appreciate working with them, because they ask questions. They're
Yeah.
curious.
Yep.
They have a growth mindset. They don't want
Yeah.
to stay stuck in the cave of complacency. So they have this internal need to continuously always be learning.
Yeah, and one of the things I loved about working with this group is before we launched the study, we were on a call and just kind of discussing the plan, and we were looking at competitors, like who did they want
Mm,
to benchmark their site against? And um, the VP of marketing, I mean, she literally said, "I want to get our butts kicked." I mean, she did not want to shy away. She did not want to pick, like, she wanted to go with the biggest, the best, and I love that about them. Like, they were not afraid. I mean,
no,
they really wanted to see what they were up against, and we did. And we followed through with that with their competitors. And I feel like that is the mindset to have.
well, this is
Like, bring it on.
exactly, and this is the second study that we facilitated for them. We have more on the horizon, and we're facilitating these studies on an every 90-day basis so that they have enough time to take the findings, the insights, the recommendations that we're sharing, and then apply them so that they can apply them going forward. But it's the idea of, and the self-awareness that they wanted to benchmark themselves against others who they perceived to have a competitive advantage, as a very smart, bold growth mindset move. I even remember as a kid playing basketball, you know, growing up. I never wanted to play against, kids my age. I always wanted to play against those that were 2, 3, 4 years older, because that's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how you test your skills to see where you can be even better. And when we shared our findings and recommendations with this organization this week, the attitude, the mood, the energy, even though it was delivered virtually, they were in a really great place.
We were.
Even though that there were some deficiencies, gaps, and growth areas that we had surfaced through this secret shopping study.
Yeah, and I think too, a lot of this, that study in particular, I think it affirmed a lot of their thoughts and their beliefs and their ideas. And they were able to now have like the data to back it up, to support the changes that they wanted to make.
Mm,
Look, this is what we're seeing. These are the patterns we're seeing. So I think that was very helpful for them too, just to reinforce that they were on the right path.
exactly. And I think the one of the big patterns that came out that was very interesting, and because this particular study was specifically focused on the homepage experience.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and when we facilitate website secret shopping studies, we always want to focus on either a particular product line or a particular experience. And that way we can go really deep with the
Really focused.
discovery. What was interesting was before we even took the users or the shoppers to their what they would frame as competitors, there was already references being made of, we'll call it the power of people on this particular organization's homepage. And the people, if you will, that were being positioned on the homepage were people that worked at the organization.
Yeah.
And I'm surfacing this once again for context because people connect with people.
Yeah.
People trust people. People do business with people, even in a digital environment. And we saw that happen with and through the pandemic. Zoom played a big part in that facilitating of human connection via a digital experience. But we also have to consider the complexity of financial buying journeys, specifically when you're getting into deeper, more complex journeys like buying a home, getting
Yeah.
a loan, buying a car, uh, business, SMBs. Checking, I think, is a little bit has the potential. It has the potential to be transactional, although
Yeah.
when financial brands elevate their mindsets internally beyond of checking being a transactional account to checking, and I don't even like to use the word checking, spending, a spending account being a transformational account. It is a transformational opportunity. The human experience is going to come back into play. And so then we
Yeah.
took that knowledge and what we are hearing from the homepage of this particular financial brand, but it really became clear when they started to go to the competitor website, specifically one.
Yeah, so let's get into that. One of the competitors that we took them to was Frost Bank. And we asked the users very specific questions about connecting with a person. Um, Talk through your feelings here, the content that you see around connecting, community. What is the optimal experience here? How do you feel about human connection, mobile connection? Which way do you lean towards? And we got a lot of great responses, but there were some clear patterns.
Sure. And I want to set context for those who are watching and listening. Frost Bank is located out of San Antonio, Texas. Frost Bank has around, as of March 31st, 2024, Frost Bank had about 50 billion in assets, making it one of the largest 50 banks in the United States. And I'm referencing that for context, particularly when we're thinking about other community institutions who might think, oh, well, either we can't do that, or maybe this would give us a competitive advantage. Because if
Mm.
a $50 billion community bank is perhaps over indexing on the human experience through the context of a digital experience, what if we did the same within our own local communities? How would that unlock new growth opportunities for us to provide people in the communities that we serve with help and hope? So that context, I think, is very important, because for the organization that we were working with, 15 billion in assets, you're thinking Frost Bank, that's over 3 times their
Right.
size. So people came to the homepage of Frost Bank, and there was one I would say, triggering element
Yeah. Ooh, very triggering.
that almost every single person had a strong opinion to share.
Yes. So when we brought them to the site and we had them look over the homepage, and particularly focus on the communication, the connection. How can you connect with someone from the bank? How do you feel about that? And do you have the exact uh, phrase that they used on
You talk
the
about Frost?
homepage? Yes.
Yeah. So
About the 24.
yeah. So there's actually three specific points that I want to surface from the Frost homepage.
Okay.
The first is what we'll call a headline. It's an H1 tag that states banking that's unexpectedly about you. And then the subtext is people don't expect much from banks. They're stating the obvious. They're telling the truth. But at Frost, we've got something special. It's the high bar of service our customers love us for. Now, I know a lot of financial brands will sit here and say when we work with them, particularly when we go deeper and we're facilitating digital growth blueprints for them. And the question we ask is, well, why should I open an account or apply for a loan at your financial brand? And they say, well, it's our service, it's our people,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
our rates. Well, everyone's saying that. Frost
Saying
is
it. That's the key. Everyone's just saying it. You've got to actually show it.
correct. And Frost says the focus on you is everything we do, from our products to our people, how we find moments to make your life better every day, because here you matter and it always surprises people who don't know us yet.
Mhm.
A lot of financial brands we work with say the same thing, but the actions, specifically the digital actions, do not back up the words. And if you think about our pyramid of human relationships, trust is right at the middle. Respect is at the foundation of every positive human relationship. Love or commitment is at the top. Trust bridges the gap between respect and love. And trust is the sum of two things. It is respect, not respect. Trust is the sum of two things. It is words and actions. It's what you say and it's what you do. And when it comes to Frost Bank, and this was not a part of the study, but it would be interesting because I'm looking at the site now in real time. It would be interesting to see how this would influence the perspective of Frost, because right at the very top of Frost Bank now, it's 15 years. It's the JD Power. Never been big on tooting our own horn, but 15 years in a row, toot toot. Number one in Texas for consumer banking customer satisfaction.
Oh, people did pick up on that.
That was a little bit lower on the page,
Yeah,
though.
yeah. Okay, yeah. It was not in the hero section. It was not prominent, no.
Correct. But now it's prominent 15
Yep.
years in a row in consumer customer banking satisfaction. When we facilitate website secret shopping studies, what's that surfacing? It's third party validation, because you as a financial brand could be sitting here saying we have great rates and amazing service and blah 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 blah, but now there's a third party, JD Power, who is saying no, this is
Yep.
this is legit right here. And so
Yep.
I'm setting that banking that's unexpectedly about you, because if you compare that to the organization that we're working with, their homepage was all about them. It was narcissistic marketing. Pictures of people of their bankers on the homepage.
Yep.
And people were like, I don't know
I don't care
Joe
who they are.
Bob. Yeah, I don't care
I
who
don't
these
care
people
that
are.
Sally got a promotion.
Right. And when we go a little bit further down on the Frost page, there were
Yeah, let's get to that.
two things that really stood out. But I do think that the context there, perhaps it did make a point of influence.
Yeah.
One of the positioning points, 24/7 live human support. And then the subcopy of that is no quote, press one or two, end quote, just a fast and friendly quote, hi, how can I help you?
I love that. I'm going to try that later. I'm going to call. I'm gonna call Frost Bank.
I think it would be worth calling. And
Yeah, I am.
you know what?
I love that.
Hold
Don't
on.
press one or two.
I'm curious. Let me see. You know what? I'm
Call
curious.
them right now.
I'm really curious. Actually, let's do that. We don't rehearse. We don't script these out. I'm going to do that right now. Here's the number. 800-513-7678. Let's try that real fast. 800-513.
Exciting.
Yeah, let me see if I can connect my phone to the Bluetooth here on in our studio, and just let's see what happens. All right, let's try this.
What if
800.
we just did a whole new segment and just started calling bank website or calling banks
That
and
would
just
be
seeing how they answer?
yeah, well, see, but now you're bringing back my childhood of the 80s and 90s, more of the 90s. It was a prank call people. We're not prank calling anyone. I remember the
Yeah, star
radio.
69 first.
Oh, well, yeah, but I even think of like some of the morning shows here in Houston growing up was like
Oh yeah, they still
104.
do
They
that.
still do that? Here it
Yes.
is. 800-513-7678. Let's see what we can do here. Let's try this. All right. It says it's calling. I'm gonna have to put them on speaker. No, it's calling. Did I get anything? I will do it this way. All right, so I'm on hold right now. No
You
one's
have
answered
music
yet.
playing?
I have music playing.
Oh.
Customers can chat live in the Frost app or when logged in online with a real Frost representative who can help you get answers fast. Use your Frost debit card to sign up for Frost online banking at frostbank.com. Please continue to hold, and the next available specialist will assist you.
Of course, if you do need to speak to someone, just hang on, and we'll be with you momentarily. Download the Frost mobile app via the Apple Store or Google Play.
So right here, we're 60 seconds in. Now this is important because I'm gonna take the phone down. We're still gonna hold. This is important because hold on.
A high volume of calls, but we'll be with you shortly. At Frost, keeping your information secure.
All right, I'm gonna hang up.
It's not telling you what number in line you are or anything.
No, and see, that's a very interesting point because expectation. If you want to talk to someone, you just got to call in, no press one or two. Well, now I'm holding for 90 seconds.
No option to call you back.
No option to call back. It's a great point. And this is one of the reasons too, when we make recommendations for financial brands, we include next to a primary call to action apply, we recommend including and this is part of our methodology, an IP request a callback.
Yeah.
Because that is often the fastest way to connect with someone, because a lot of times people they call in, they get put on hold, they get frustrated. But there's Ally Bank. We've looked at Ally Bank's website. Ally Bank, on every single page in the upper right-hand corner, they have a 800 number, and then they have the wait time right next to that. Yeah. So this is real good. I mean, this is real. You're learning. If you're watching or listening, you're learning in real time some of how we do our website secret shopping, because this is one of those areas. If we were to secret shop the contact experience, where might there be gaps or expectation gaps that are blind spots that you're just simply not aware of?
Yeah. So let's get to the final point here and the final piece on the communication side that we noticed. And this stirred up a ton of emotions with our users that we tested. And I have some quotes here that we'll read here in a minute. But before we wrap up, I want to make sure that we get to this because it was so interesting. And honestly, it had me laughing a lot. Just because of the response that people had to this particular section on the website.
Well, I think that's one of the insights that we found. It's the sneaking suspicion and the hunch that I had is now starting to get quantified and qualified, because the positioning here was live chat a person, not a bot. And the subtext: to us, AI means talking to someone who's actually interested, good pun, in how you're doing. And to your point, this really fired up a lot of people, and they had strong opinions about bots. So if you're thinking about, oh, well, we're going to solve all our problems, and I've been saying this for years, technology is just a tool. It's not the cure. It's not the solution. Yep. Technology could actually also could create pain in a shopping buying experience.
Yep.
So what did we find, Audrey? What were some of the perspectives shared when people had an opinion, and a strong opinion, about quote unquote bots? To bot or not to bot? That is the question.
To bot or not to bot, right? All right, I'm just gonna read off some like direct quotes from some of these users, what they said. All right, first one. I freaking hate dealing with those stupid bots. They're useless and annoying. Try returning something to Amazon. You get a massive migraine by the time you deal with all their robots. So actually having people and customer service is a great benefit. Now, the use of a robot can be helpful in certain situations, but you need to do it right. Don't just put robots out there as an excuse for not hiring the proper staff. One quote. Another one. And the problem with those bots is they're stupid. Honestly, like, unless you're going to ask it, what's the balance in my bank account? What's the temperature outside? It cannot troubleshoot.
Yeah. Someone else, and I'm looking at the same quotes here in the report. I feel like it's more important. I'd rather connect with another human being when I need help with something. I feel like it's more important than talking to a bot or an automated system. They're always so irritating. They don't always understand, and it's more personable. It seems like what they do for the community too, which is important, the idea of humanity. That's just how Frost was being positioned on their homepage. And the reason that it's important to surface these points is when people have questions, when people have concerns, are you inadvertently throwing up roadblocks and obstacles, trying to prevent them to connect with another human being because of a perceived associated cost?
Yeah.
And I get it. The idea of efficiency makes a lot of sense. And that actually came up in the dialogue when we were sharing the website optimization game plan for this particular financial brand's homepage.
Yep.
Because someone from digital banking was involved in the discussion. And they self-actualized this. They said, well, I can see that whenever someone is shopping for a product and they have a question, they want to connect with a human being. But what about for the repeat questions? How do I reset my password? What's the routing number? At that point, a bot would provide value because it's the repeated question over and over and over again with the same repeated answer. The outcome, the question's the same, the outcome's the same. There's a small delta of variability. Variability increases whenever someone is shopping for a particular product and they have a very specific question about their unique situation. That's where human expertise comes into play.
Yeah.
Not just expertise, I would say even more specifically, that's where human empathy comes into play. I hear you.
Yeah, that was one of the things that somebody said was, bots don't have empathy. Bots can't empathize with you and your situation. But what they can do is they can point you in the right direction. They can point you to the department to then get a hold of somebody and, a real person. So I think, yes, is there a use for them? Is there a use for a lot of these? Sure.
Yeah. And I guess that's the thing I think about when you're working within a financial brand and you're looking at the world, the shopping experience from the inside, it's very easy to think about quote unquote cost reduction. But if you go from to the outside and you're like, and Frost Bank addressed this specifically. I'm going to come back and read. People don't expect much from banks these days. That's a problem. That's
Yeah.
a perception. And so if you shortcut the path to humanity through digital experience, using digital channels and technology to accelerate the connection between a human being and a human being, well, you're now differentiating yourself amongst and from the masses.
Yeah.
And it's a perhaps it's a bit of a contrarian approach, but if you are thinking, well, we're going to go and we're going to get all this technology and AI and automation, and we're going to get these bots, and it's going to make this great customer experience. Have you talked to anyone?
Yeah.
Have you talked to yourself? Have you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, you know what?
Look at your own habits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Would you find value chatting with a bot that did not truly help you?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a jerk,
Yeah.
because you want to be a
Right.
jerk to yourself. So don't be a
Right.
jerk to account holders and prospective account holders, because in essence, you might think that you're reducing internal cost, but you're actually increasing the external cost of experience. You're depleting the trust fund that sits between the brains or sits between the ears within the minds of people that you're looking to help.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and we heard that a lot in this study. I mean, just having and just communicating that somebody is there when you need them, just having those options there increases trust so much, even if they never use them, even if they never pick up the phone and call. Just having the option for them makes them feel more safe, more comfortable, more confident moving forward.
Mm.
And I think that's, that was another big pattern that we saw.
So Frost Bank,
But
if
actually,
I was say, so
yeah,
Frost Bank, if you're listening to this, I'm looking here at the website once again. Reach us when you need us. Talk to a real. This is further down the homepage, and the positioning is great. This is ideal positioning. This is positioning the human experience through the context of digital experience. Reach us when you need us. Talk to real people you can rely on 24/7. You'll never chat with a bot, just like a Texan, just a Texan like you who's ready to help. And however you get in touch, you can always expect a personal touch. Well, I was on hold for 90 seconds and I belled. Now, and I think, Audrey, you're surfacing something here. Could there be an option? And this is all about experience. Might there be an option? Tired of holding after 30 seconds, press 1 to request a callback.
yes,
Because that, or set the expectation of how long it's going to
how long it's
be.
gonna take.
Because when expectations are set, we're sit here and left wondering, is it going to be a minute? Is it going to be 10 minutes? And all of this connects back to some research from Jay Baer, where speed and connection to human connection influences the human trust factor.
Absolutely. That's a great way to wrap up this conversation, James Roberts. Any final thoughts? I mean, action items moving forward after listening to this conversation and thinking about the balance between the human digital connections. What can someone do who's listening
Assess
or
the
watching?
website first and foremost. Assess where are there opportunities, or where might there be gaps that are really growth areas in disguise, blind spots that you could bridge the human experience with. So, for example, next to an apply button, secondary call to action. Questions?
Mhm.
Request a callback. That's one. I'd say the second, call the primary number on your page
See what happens.
and see what happens. How long
Yeah.
does it take to get a hold of a human being? Do you make people go through the equivalent of an American Ninja Warrior course to talk to someone by pressing buttons. Because be honest with yourself here, because when you call and you get a phone tree, do you go through the phone tree or do you just hit 0 trying to bypass the phone tree?
I hit 0 every time. Sometimes it's 9.
Yeah.
My pharmacy is 9. I know that.
So see, and I think that's the thing. Humans are adaptable and they're going to find ways to shortcut and hack the system.
Yeah.
Why not just make life easy for everyone? Because that becomes a differentiation point specifically through the lens of a banking experience and a more specific to our area of focus and study through a financial shopping experience. So 2 actions that you can take immediately right now. Go call that number to your,
Yes.
and I would say bonus, third one, since I think in 3s. If you add a phone number to the product page, that's another shortcut, because this gets into heuristics and shortcuts. What can we do to shortcut the path to solve people's pain and not having them have to go and search for the phone number when they have a question, they need to talk to someone? Because we know from our secret shopping studies, phone numbers are typically not listed on product pages of financial brand websites. So just by adding the phone number to your product page next to a call to action can help shortcut that learning, can help shortcut that path, can ultimately then increase conversion, which is why that phone number should not be the number to your contact center, the same number that would be on your quote unquote contact page. It should be a vanity phone number that you can track an inbound call lead to say, our website is actually influencing phone calls, not just digital leads, not just website
There you
leads.
go. Yeah. Awesome. Well, there you have it. Three action items that you can take moving forward after this episode. James Robert, thank you for diving into those insights today and uncovering some of our recent website secret shopping study findings.
Absolutely. This has been a lot of fun, as always.
Yes. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Banking on Digital Growth podcast.